Hey everyone, and welcome back to Country Music Made Me. Thank you so much for joining us once again. If you haven't already, please be sure to check out our website, countrymusicmademe.com. There you can listen to all of our episodes and also sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive content straight to your inbox. Just go to countrymusicmademe.com and hit that subscribe button. Now for today's episode, we're excited to welcome Connor Smith. Now he released his debut EP in January, but he is far from a newcomer on the country music scene. They say that Nashville is a 10-year town, and although he's only 21, he has actually lived out his 10 years in Nashville already. It began with songwriting around the age of 5. He signed with BMI at the age of 9, signed his first publishing deal at 16, and has been well on his way to a career in country music ever since. So please enjoy our conversation with Connor Smith. The EP has been out for a couple of weeks now. January 14th, I believe it dropped. So what has it been like? Have you felt a change, or because you've been doing this so long, does it just feel like the next progression within your career?
Man, it's been a massive change. I put a little thing on my Instagram yesterday because I was just so grateful for what has happened in the last 2 weeks with the reaction. I mean, as a new artist, you put out your debut project and you have no idea what to expect. And really, it was just these 6 songs that I was like, I like these songs. I'm confident. I'm proud of these songs. But there was really, I didn't think much beyond that. And so to have people not only like accept the songs but love them and share them and tell their friends about them and watch the songs kind of become a part of their lives. And I asked on my Instagram yesterday what their favorite song was, and it was just split so evenly between every song.
Right.
And it was like, man, this is special to see. And it was funny. I got a couple hate comments. The dude DM'd me. He said, I'm a big fan of your music, or I'm a big fan of you, but I hate your new music. You need to go back to your roots. And I was like, dude, this is my first project. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
These are my roots. I don't know. But other than that, it's been phenomenal response.
Well, it feels like within the musical realm as a musician, it feels weird because there's this thought that if you stay the same, then there's fans who are like, well, you have to evolve as an artist, give us something different. But then if you give them something different, there's this other facet of fans who say, why are you changing? And so is that a difficult thing to balance?
I had that exact conversation yesterday with Thomas Rhett, because we were on the phone and I was telling him, I go, man, it's weird because I wasn't nervous at all for these songs to come out. There was no part of me that was anxious about it or was worrying how. I just was like, let's do it. Like, I felt good about it.
Right.
I was like, but now that it's worked and now that there's been success and momentum and people are watching, I'm freaking out over, what song will I put out next? And he goes, man, nobody wants you to evolve until you do. And then they'll start loving, and so you just kind of gotta kind of follow your heart and be like, I love this song and I'm gonna put it out, and just kind of trust that instinct. But it's definitely just a funny balance of trying to evolve as an artist and also kind of stay true to who you are and what you do best and your writing. So,
and as you evolve into more of the business side of this, I mean, you've been in the business for a while now, but as you evolve more into it, do you have to keep sort of that carefree attitude that you've had in the past and not get too wrapped up in the business of it and worrying about what people are going to think, and ensuring that you're still doing what you love and what you want at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much of it is about the business. I mean, honestly, there's some incredible artists and writers in this town that never get their chance because they never know how to balance the business or promotion or getting in front of the right people or building the right team. And so a lot of that for me at the start was building the team around me.
Right.
And I really accredit so much of my success to the team that I was able to put in place and the foundation we built. I mean, I signed with my manager 4 or 5 years ago and got my first publishing deal, but 4 years ago. I was under a big machine for 2 years before we put out songs, and it's funny in that time period. Of course, I'm so impatient, and just wanting to put out music, wanting to get going, and wanting to start. And so the one thing I learned once we did put out music and everything started was the Lord's timing's perfect. And I'm so thankful for when we put out music, how we did it, because we were so ready and so prepared for when we did. We knew what steps 1 through 10 were. You know, we weren't just looking, okay, we're going to do this and figure it out. And so it was like, we're going to put out these 2 songs and then this one. And then we got luck with I Hate Alabama coming out and the timing of all that. And that kind of lit a fire on everything. But we were prepared for if that happened, you know, here we're going to put out the song the next week. And then of course the EP comes out and people seem to love it. And so much of it is about trusting your team and their plan. And that kind of gives me freedom to go write and go be creative and go imagine my show and build the live show and all that stuff. But man, also for me, man, I love the game of the business, and I love getting to like really dream and plan and set goals for the next 5-10 years, and but having the people around me to do that definitely helps.
Right. And that business side of things, let's talk about your introduction to the business. I want to follow your journey to this new music, because you're only 21, but you have already paid your 10 years within the 10-year town. You've paid your dues already because of when you started. And so let's talk about the age of 5 when you moved to Nashville with your family. And your mom was the host of Nashville Music and More with Stormy Warren. And so she was out there interviewing basically the top country artists within the genre at that time. So when you were 5 or 6 and you moved to Nashville, what sort of was your thought around what she was doing and around music? Were you a music fan at that point, or was it after you moved to Nashville that it really started to take hold of you?
Yeah, so I got my first guitar. There really is no musical background in my family. And other than my dad, you know, does a great karaoke version of Brick House. But beyond that, there's not too much, you know, musical history in my family. But randomly for my 4th birthday, you know, my parents gave me a guitar, and they kind of tell the story of I was a super shy kid and would kind of hide behind my mom's leg, you know, early on. And then they gave me this guitar on my birthday, and all of a sudden it was like the spark came on. And I just started like singing and playing this thing and singing Kenny Chesney songs. The first song I ever sang was Big Star. And
okay. It's a good first one.
Exactly. And so I just started like singing all these songs at this birthday party, and my parents were so confused, and so there was something, you know, there that kind of clicked. So I was always gravitated towards music, gravitated towards country music, because I've always been a lyric guy. You know, that's kind of what I love about music.
Right.
And so then when we moved to Nashville, you know, I was from Chattanooga. It's about 2 hours south in Tennessee. And so when we moved to Nashville, and really kind of settled down, my family did, my mom got a job working as an entertainment reporter, and she loved country music. And so she was working at the local NBC station. And anytime there would be, you know, an entertainment job, she would kind of raise her hand and go do it. And
right.
That led to her doing the show. And so it was kind of perfect for me, because my mom didn't work in the industry, but she had a look inside of it. And so that kind of led me to just get to be around it a little bit, get to, you know, the day I had my first guitar lesson, she was interviewing Brad Paisley, and I went to his #1 party or something. I was 7.
Really?
Yeah. And so just like crazy stuff like that. And then of course the big thing was she was interviewing songwriters, and she was interviewing these people telling these stories about how they were writing these massive songs and these huge hit writers. And so she would kind of bring those tapes home, and because she had 2, you know, young boys, and so she wanted to be at home as much as she could. So she would bring these 2-hour long form interviews with, you know, people like Tom Douglas and Craig Wiseman, and she would start to edit them at the house, and I wouldn't let her start without me, and I just sit down there in her office and just kind of take in every second, which led to me starting to try to write my own songs, and then that also led to those same songwriters being able to encourage me, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, you know, they would hear about how I was writing these songs at 7 years old, and they would just kind of encourage me, and it just always felt like that's a reasonable thing to do. I think
Right.
there's so
Yeah.
many people outside of Nashville, grow up in all these places that they don't think that being a songwriter and getting paid to write songs is a reasonable job to pursue. And so for me, it was always just like, I'm gonna do that.
And let's talk about one of the first experiences with being a songwriter. I believe it was at the age of 6. You went to the Opry with your parents and you saw Hal Ketchum sing Sure Love. And then you went home and you rewrote the chorus to that song. Now, at the age of 6, just talk about the feeling you had when you saw him play and what sort of triggered within you that you wanted to go home and rewrite these lyrics.
First off, I love that you know your stuff so well. It's impressive. But yeah, I mean, I was at Grand Ole Opry, and Hal Ketchum plays Sure Love, and I just went home, and I guess something about that melody stuck because I just kept the melody and rewrote the lyrics. And the moment I remember that really triggered things was me playing that song for my mom in the living room, and for my parents, and just their reaction and their kind of amazement to it. Um, just that fueled this encouragement in me to just want to keep doing that and keep getting that reaction out of people, and keep wanting to make people feel that in what I had done lyrically. It's funny, my mom has recently, like this week, she's uncovered all of these journals and school projects from like dating back to like second grade.
Oh, really?
And literally since second grade, and like all of these school projects, it's me writing about wanting to be a songwriter. And it's just so funny. And even there was like a kindergarten class, and the teacher did a progress report, and it was like, it wrote like, Connor often makes up songs in his heads and sings them all day or whatever. And so there's always just something in me, I guess, that just that kind of had that ability. And I always say my story is one of having a gift and ability to do something and being in the perfect environment to foster that. And so I really do feel so blessed by that.
And so at the age of 9, you went in for a meeting at BMI. Now, the age of 9, that feels young, but then I was thinking about it. My son is 7 and he's in grade 2. So when he's 9, he's going to be in grade 4. And so when you put that to it, like you're in grade 4, grade 5, whatever you were in there. I don't know if you skipped a grade maybe, but you're that age, you're in that grade, and you're going into BMI for a meeting. Now, at that point, did you know what it all meant? Did you understand what was happening?
I don't know if I did or not. It's wild when I look back on it too. I was texting with Clay Bradley yesterday, who is now the head of BMI Nashville, and he was who signed me, or who asked me, said, "Man, I really believe in you, and I want you to sign." And I
Yeah.
sent him a picture of me and him at the age of 9, and I just said, "Man, you're my first believer in town. Like, pretty cool." And it's a wild story, but um, Clay heard about me and that I was writing the songs, and he just kind of asked me to come in just to encourage me, I think, and just he just thought it was wild that this 9-year-old was writing these country songs, and so I go in and I play him some songs, and he goes, he said, "Man," he said, "these songs are better than half the people we have signed here." And it wasn't because the songs were good at all. The songs were, I was 9, so the songs were what they
Yeah,
were.
exactly.
But I knew what I was doing, because they had verses and choruses and a bridge. Like I knew what, like, kind of the outline of what I was going. And so I think he just saw something in me. And man, as a 9-year-old, the encouragement that was massive. I mean, like, for someone to look at me who's uh, a leader in Nashville, and say, "I see something in you, and I want you to go ahead and sign to be a mine, and I want to help mentor you and encourage you." And so as a third, fourth grader, in my head, I was like, "Well, I'm a professional songwriter now. I
Right.
have to
Yeah.
work. I have to write songs every day." And so I would just come home from school and I'd write songs till baseball practice, and so that's kind of just always what I did. And it is such a wild story to look back on. Like, because you hear that and you're like, well, he must have been some child prodigy. It's like, no, like I wasn't. I was just, that's what I love to do. And I was just kind of did it. And then these doors opened and I got encouraged. And so I feel so massively, massively blessed because it just gave me such a head start on everybody to
Yeah.
be writing songs that young. Um, so then by that time I signed my publishing deal and I was getting in rooms with these, massive songwriters. I felt prepared in a weird way.
Well, when you signed with BMI, what did that look like? Like, what was that all based on? Were you getting into rooms and writing with people, or was it sort of a development thing where Clay was just sort of working with you, or what did that look like?
I mean, it was very introductory level of just like, hey, we believe in you, and we would love to go ahead and have you a part of this family. And Clay, I would meet with Clay maybe once or twice a year, and just encourage me, and then he set me up with some meetings with just other writers, just for them to kind of sit there and listen to some songs and to get encouraged. And um, so it wasn't like we were setting up rights and really, starting the whole thing, but
Oh, okay.
it was just kind of an introductory level of just, hey, we believe in you, and we think this is a cool story, so we'd love to have you part of the family.
Right. And now you talk about writing before going to baseball practice. In 2013, did you compete at the Little League World Series?
That's right. That's right. It's my peak.
And so at that age, what is that like? You're a songwriter who signed to BMI. You're a baseball player at a very high level playing in Little League World Series. And so what was sort of your mindset as a kid back then? You talked about
Yeah.
before you got your guitar not necessarily being that confident, but then all of a sudden you're like a professional at two things. Like, were you a pretty cocky kid at that point just because of the talent you've had?
I would like to say I've never like been too cocky, but I remember it was going into my seventh grade year, and I always laugh. I say I peaked right then because I was playing the Little League World Series on ESPN, and was on the Sports Center, and they even played clips of me uh, singing a song I wrote,
Oh,
on
really?
Sports Center, and talking about wanting to be a songwriter. And they did interviews about me signing a BMI. And they did all that stuff, on ESPN. Well, at the same time, I'm missing like the first 2 weeks of school in August with the way the schedule. And so I was missing school. I was playing baseball on Sports Center, singing on ESPN, like, and so I got to school. Finally, we were done, and I got back to school. And I just remember for a while there, I was the king of middle school, but I think that lasted 2 weeks, and then my friends were ragging on me again. But what's funny, man, and this just kind of goes, all throughout my journey, is that growing up in Nashville, in the same way that I thought being a songwriter was an attainable dream, no one cared. I
Right.
had a publishing deal in high school. I signed my publishing deal. I was making money when I was 16. I was writing with all these massive songwriters. I was going on the road with Sam Hunt. No one cared, and I love that. It like that's was the best thing possible. Because it's just like when you grow up in Nashville, your neighbor has a record deal, and
Right.
your best friend's dad has a record deal, and so it's just not. It is what it is, and I, like I said, I was just always that guy. I was always the guy that was playing baseball and then also wrote songs, and I tried to be intentional to never make it like never try to show myself too much, or try to be like a look at me type of guy, and so
Right.
it was I feel super blessed that I just was able to have a super normal high school life, and friends that supported me, but they didn't care whether I ever had success or not.
And was there any part of you that wanted to chase ball for a little bit and maybe try and go to college and chase that for a bit before you started your music career? Or was it the focus always country music is
Mm.
going to be what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was especially early middle school, early high school, definitely college baseball, was a part of the vision. But by the time that really you start looking at colleges and looking at what's next for me, I kind of already figured out, I was already getting my publishing deal, and already kind of realized I wasn't going to go to college, nor did I want to really put in the time and effort to play college baseball.
Right.
But
Yeah.
my senior year of high school, had my publishing deal and was going to school, and my school was amazing. I went to school in Nashville called Brentwood Academy that I owe so much gratitude to because they worked with me so well and just like really believed in me and encouraged me. And I would go to school till about 11:30, then I'd leave, and then would go write songs on Music Row at 12. Then I'd come back and play in the baseball game at 4. And I never went to any practices that senior year, but I'd only come back for the games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there was something about that, and I really do think this was like the Lord's blessing because if I was doing that and I was playing terrible, everybody would hate me and the team would, say screw this kid. But I literally had the best year of my life. I hit better than I'd ever hit. I played better, and so it was just like that's such a special season of my life that those 4 months of getting to do kind of it all and live out all those dreams at once.
Yeah, exactly. And within the writing and the creation of music, when you got to your senior year, now you signed with Tape Room Music and you started working with Ashley Gorley and Zach Crowell. Now, what have they meant for your journey? How important have they been since you started working with them?
Everything. So I got Zach has been my guy from day one. So the story really goes, I was 16 and I was on a family vacation, and this was kind of in the height of the Sam Hunt Montevallo kind of days which Zach produced all that stuff and wrote most of it and just had a big hand in that. And
Oh, okay.
I was on this trip and I listened to this podcast to Zach and was listening to this record, and I was like, dude, this is some of the best music I've ever heard, and was so fascinated by it, and was so fascinated by Zach in particular because the sound and hearing him on this podcast, and he talked a lot about his faith, and I was just really impressed by him, and so on this trip. I did a little cover that I posted on Instagram of me singing Cop Car, which Zach wrote and produced for Keith. Well, that night after I posted, I'm sitting at dinner with my family, and I just verbally say out loud, super random. I just was like, top 5 people in Nashville that I would want to work with, like Zach Crowell's on that list. Like I think he's amazing. I promise you, the very next night I get an email out of absolutely nowhere from a guy named Brad Belanger, who's now my manager, who managed Sam Hunt. And he said, hey, Connor, I stumbled across a video, would love to get to meet with you and talk about your goals. Well, the next week I meet with Brad, and it turned out that Zach was the one who saw the video, sent it over to Brad. And so 8 days after I spoke that into existence, I was sitting at Zach Crowell's house. And we started working together.
Wow.
For the next 5 years, and so that was just so massive. Zach kind of believed in me, and then we just started developing it. And so we just really spent the time to figure out my sound and let my voice develop and get me in these rooms and write songs and everything. And so between Zach and Brad, those are my 2 people and my whole team. And Zach has a hand in everything beyond just a producer. But then Zach led to Ashley, and Ashley has also been awesome, and just he's the biggest country songwriter of all time. So it doesn't hurt to work with him.
And you talk about Zach helping you to develop your sound. I was going to ask you about that because, starting from the age of 9 and being more of a songwriter, what was it like to kind of switch gears and start to develop yourself as an artist and find who you were and find what lane you wanted to be in?
Yeah. I think there was always a part of me that had the artist thing in there. And so as we really got started on that, I think it was a long journey of figuring out what my sound was. I don't think it really clicked until 2020.
Right.
Where everything kind of aligned, and my look and my sound and who I was as a man kind of came together. I mean, we spent a lot of years of just writing songs, and you see the evolution of the sound through the demos and and the work takes. And what I was talking about, I mean, I was growing up, and so those early songs are about high school and prom and homecoming, and then you kind of graduate, and the songs mature, and the sound matured, and so it really kind of took me coming into my own as a writer. And like I said, it wasn't until about a year ago that I think it all kind of came together. And it's funny, man, that was such a product of COVID. I mean, I was getting ready to put out music and get going, and I was super anxious and eager, and then COVID happens. And I was so disappointed, man. I was so just like, what do I do now? And I had to look at myself and just be like, hey, you just got to work your butt off and just make the most out of this. And so it was in that year that I found who I was, who I wanted to be as an artist, as a person, as a writer. And I'm so thankful for that time. And now my advice to any new artist would be, hey, when you think that you have the song, wait another year. Like, just wait another year and just keep writing, because it's only going to get better. And you want to be so prepared for when you finally get to start, because you only get, one introduction.
Right. And yeah, I saw you were in the studio at least as of 2018. And so if the pandemic wouldn't have happened and maybe you would have rushed some music, would it have been a very different experience, do you think? A very different sound?
It would have been completely different. And I can't even overstate that. Like, I feel so thankful and so blessed. And really just like the Lord was kind of watching over me, of like, to give me that time to just keep working and figure it all out, because the only song that we had that we would have had when we started putting out music was Somewhere in a Small Town off my EP.
Oh, okay.
Because that was kind of one of the first songs that we wrote that was like, okay, that one's a little better. And so, there's these songs that I listen back to now that I'm like, I was so excited to put out, and I thought this was the best thing ever. And I listen back now and I'm like, thank God that's not on the internet. And so I feel, and I remember sitting down with Zach and Brad kind of right before, when we kind of in the new year and we were getting ready, and they said, hey, we don't think the songs are there yet. And I remember being so disappointed and so like, yeah, and just and upset. And I look back now and I'm thankful that they were able to give me that, tough love at that moment, and having people, always be honest with me is a big thing.
Right. And throughout 2020 and 2021, you did work hard. You did write a lot. You posted a lot of demos. And so coming into the album, what was the process like of sifting through everything and picking the songs that you wanted?
Yeah. We had the blessing of having too many good songs, and I'll take that all day long. I mean, down to the wire, I was like, God, I want to change this, and I wish this song was on there. I wish we could. And so, I mean, all the songs are just different, and to me, what this EP was, and I kind of love that it's gotten this much positive reaction, because it wasn't even like we said, hey, we're gonna pick our 6 best songs and put them out. What it was to me was, it said, hey, this is my introduction. So let's pick 6 songs that show a different side of who I am as a writer, as a person, as an artist. And let's get those out. So, College Town, I wrote that song by myself on an airplane in like 30 minutes. And that was kind of the idea was like, I need a song for these live shows. And, I'm playing all these college bars. And so kind of writing towards that. And then also just like I was able to write my own story in there. So that felt like a great introduction to kind of the first track. And then Somewhere in a Small Town, that wasn't going to be on the EP, but then last minute we put it on there because, I start my live show on the road with Somewhere in a Small Town. So we needed to have that song out. And that was the one I was really questioning. It's funny. I was like, the whole time I was like, God, I wish I could put another song on there and take Somewhere in a Small Town off, but it doesn't make sense. And I thought that was by far going to be the weakest song, and it's come out, and like, I think that's the fan favorite. So it shows you what I know. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely that was kind of the only thing that I was worried about was, are these the right group of songs? But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this my whole career and kind of not just a, just one decision, but really kind of, okay, how do we build a career over the next 5, 10 years? And so putting out an EP that really just kind of showed you, okay, who is Connor Smith? But before we even go any further.
Right. Yeah. And having a song like College Town that you wrote yourself, it's your personal song. What does that mean as an artist to be able to do that? Because co-writing is such a big thing and getting the best song that you can. Is that pretty cool to have one that you were able to do yourself?
Yeah, I think there's some pride in there for sure. If we're honest, like the little, you're proud to have one that you were able to write by yourself and kind of show what you can do as a songwriter with no one else in the room. I mean, I freaking love the brilliance and the art of co-writing, and I'm so thankful for that and how much better it made me as a writer. I mean, you sit in rooms with these massive country songwriters, and you can't not become a better writer. So getting able to kind of create these songs with these people that are now my friends. So now to get to share kind of these songs with them too, people that are writing these songs, one of my best friends in the world is the writer on my first single, and learn from it.
Oh, okay.
And so we get to share this journey going up the. But there's a little pride in you that loves the fact that you got one song on there that you wrote by yourself, and you can kind of take full credit for it.
That's awesome. And you were able to have the CD release show at Whiskey Jam, I believe. Now, what does that mean to be able to have your CD release at sort of this iconic venue within the city and have it be your hometown, have your friends come out, have your family come out?
That was one of the most special nights. It was one of those nights that, I will remember this for the rest of my life. Like I'll look back on this 10 years down the road. To be able to kind of host my own Whiskey Jam night on a Monday night. We had just gotten off the road. We had played 4 shows in 4 days in a van, going all over, and then come back to Nashville and play our 5th show on the 5th day on a Monday night. It was exhausting, but what was cool about it was, they just said, "Hey, it's your takeover night. Do whatever you want." And so I just had all of my best friends kind of on the lineup, and didn't know what to expect, but we showed up, and when I tell you it was packed out, it was absurd. I mean, line wrapping around the building,
Oh,
and
really?
Ward, who runs Whiskey Jam, he was like, "Man, that's a once in a year type of show." Like that was a big deal, and I think it was at max capacity by like 8:30. I didn't go on till 11. And so it was just like one of those nights. It was like, man, to see your hometown show up for you like that, and to see people appreciate the music so much that they'll come out on a Monday night, and then to do it with my best friends and watch all of them get up there and just absolutely crush it. It was just so special. I mean, we got up there. I was everybody does 3 songs at Whiskey Jam. I was gonna do 5 just because it was my takeover night.
Right.
And we were up there for like 8 songs, and they just like wouldn't let us leave the stage. So we had an absolute blast, and when you want to talk about momentum, that was one of those nights that you felt the momentum in Nashville kind of shift around you, and that's a special thing.
And you've heard yourself on the radio, and that must be pretty cool. But I wanted to talk about sort of the other side of that. I saw your buddy Jake Kinney posted a video on Instagram of him like tearing out to his truck because he knew you were on the radio, and just the excitement he had. So what does that mean? Not only for you to hear it on the radio, but to see the excitement of your friends and family when that's happening.
Yeah. That's the most special thing, man. I think I have this quote that I always say to my people, and I'm like, "Hey, listen, anytime something good happens, and they're like, man, congrats," I'm like, "Hey, it's a bus, not a motorcycle," because that's what it really feels like. It's all about the people in my life and getting to grow and build it with them. And Jake, for example, is one of my closest friends, but Jake has had such a part in what I've done. He was one of the guys he's a freshman at the University of Georgia, but his biggest dream is to work in music, and he's got the brain for it, and is so amazing at kind of understanding that world. And so he was the one who really, over COVID, him and I just like got together and go, all right, we can't do anything. So what do we do? And we kind of built this whole social media strategy that really grew and really worked. And so he was kind of a right hand man in that. And so for him to hear it on the radio in Athens, Georgia, after all of the work we had put in, to see his genuine like joy and reaction, man, it made me so happy, and it filled me with so much joy, because that's what it's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have all the success in the world, and you win every entertainer of the year and have 1,000 number ones, but you've lost who you are, and you've lost the people that got you there, and the people that love you beyond any sort of success, then what's it really worth? And so it's been so cool. I was on the Today Show last week, and
Yeah.
I think that made my mom's life. And so watching her reaction to that, and just every little victory, it's been so special, because this last year it's felt like I've had a birthday party like once a month, just always something to celebrate. But to have amazing people in my life around me who love me, to be able to celebrate that with, man, that's all I care about.
And one of the next huge things that's going to happen is going on tour with Thomas Rhett. Now, before we get to that, I know that you have basically bought a ticket to every headline show that he has had in the Nashville area, but I want to talk about the one specifically at the age of 16 when you went on a date. And I heard you talk about the fact it didn't go well, but I want you to elaborate. Talk about that event and what happened. Give me the details.
Oh gosh, I will say I'm still friends with this girl, but she won't listen to this, so it's all good. But so I go on this date at 16 with this girl that I really liked, and we've been kind of talking for 3 months, and we go out to this date with some friends. I had a baseball game that night, so I had to like rush from this baseball game to get to this concert. It's Thomas Rhett's first headlining show at Ascend Amphitheater in Nashville, and we're 16, we're awkward, and we didn't really know what to how dating worked, or emotions even,
Right.
and so I remember I think we probably slow danced a little bit to Die Happy Man, and it's probably awkward or something. We didn't crush it, and I think that was a Friday night. I think the next Monday at school, like, we broke up and it ended. So that was kind of our last rendezvous. But I laugh and I was like, 16, and then 5 years later I'm opening up for him, and I love it. But man, it's a wild thing. I mean, I've been a massive fan of Thomas Rhett my whole life. He's kind of blowing up while I was in high school. And I remember where I was the first time I heard "Marry Me." I remember playing 16 in the car with my mom for the first time when I was 16, and her looking at me and saying, "Did he write this about you?" And so to have a guy like that kind of come along into my life and be such a massive supporter of me, and such a massive just mentor. I mean, beyond music, just in life. I mean, the conversations I'm able to have with him are less about, hey, what do you think of this song, and what should I do, and this EP cover. It's hey man, like, when I'm out on the road and there's all this craziness around me and all these people looking for my attention, like, how do I handle that? How do I go out into these insane environments where the world revolves around me, and not lose myself, and not lose who I want to be, and the morals, and how I want to live my life, and what I want to be known for. And so being able to have someone who's done it, and done it in what I really think is one of the best ways possible, and have him be able to speak life into me, and kind of just speak truth, has been massive. So super thankful for that. Super thankful I'm going to go on the road with him and kind of learn more from him, and learn how he runs his tour, and his team, and his people, and him as a leader. So man, what a cool thing. And that's one of those doors that I could have never opened myself. So I'm thankful for it.
That's awesome. And that question of how do I not lose myself when all of this comes crashing in on me, have you found that answer yet? Do you know the answer?
No, absolutely not. That's just, you get trial by fire. You can never be, the one thing I've learned is that you can never really be prepared for it. My prayer has always been, hey, Lord, make my my roots deeper than my influence is wide, and continue to just kind of walk in that. You know, the best advice that I've gotten is from Thomas, and he said, man, you know what? It's as crazy as you want it to be, and it's as crazy as you make it, and you have the decision of how you want to build your life and your career, and what it is that you have the world at your fingertips, you know, naturally. Right. And so you have the decision of you have to make the decision of, you know, who are you going to be inside of that, and how are you going to build your circle? And so it's just about putting the right people around you, putting the people that are going to hold you accountable, putting the people that know who you are and how you want to act, and making sure you're living that way. And then also being able to take criticism, and when people say, tell you no and tell you that you're acting like a fool, you got to be able to listen and not just want to, you know, get mad and kick those people out. So it's I think for me, my relationship with TR is just showing me that it's possible, and so between him and my mama's prayers, you know, we're doing all right so far, but it's a wild thing.
That's awesome. And I know you're going to be on the road quite a bit with him this year, but I know you also have a lot of music that you would probably like your fans to hear. So is there a balance there? Are you going to be working on music along with touring this year so that you're ready to pump another EP maybe out soon?
Man, I'm more hungry to write than ever right now. I mean, I feel so inspired right now, and just in a really healthy place to, I feel like every song I'm writing right now is, you know, is really hitting a spot, and I found like a groove. And so I'm stoked, and thankfully, you know, gonna get to write out on the road with you know, having writers come out on the tour, and get to work with them a bunch. But I mean, any day I'm in town, I'm usually writing a song and working with people, and I'm just super inspired right now. I just feel super excited about what's next, and so I'm hustling on every end, just because, man, I feel such a blessing to get to do my career and start my career at 21, where I'm a single dude who doesn't have a wife and a kid, and
right,
can really just kind of put all of his energy and effort into music right now. And so it's a special little season of life.
Thank you once again so much for listening, and thank you to Connor for stopping by and sharing his story. Be sure to go check out his new EP, Didn't Go Too Far, and catch him on the road this summer with Thomas Rhett. Please also be sure to check out our website at countrymusicmademe.com. There you can listen to all of our episodes and also sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive content straight to your inbox. Just go to countrymusicmademe.com and hit that subscribe button. Thanks once again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Country Music Made Me.